As long as there's enough people in this community that keep trying, then we should be able to keep making progress. City leadership and policy change can squash whole industries just like that. We're not going to probably make progress with the current voting pool.
Today's guest is someone many people in St. Joseph know as an entrepreneur, but they also know him as a mover and a shaker. His impact goes far beyond starting any companies. Lute Atieh has spent his career building businesses, investing in innovation, mentoring entrepreneurs, and helping shape the future of our community through leadership, workforce development, and emerging technology. Today, we're talking about entrepreneurship, AI, the future of St. Joe, and why this community has more potential than many people realize. Welcome back to the 3994. You can see I'm here with Lute Atieh. He's amazing, entrepreneur extraordinaire in St. Joe. We're going to talk to him today. But first, I want to let you know that this is the premiere podcast, first ever public podcast.
First ever.
Filmed at the Launchpad in downtown St. Joe.
Been a long time coming.
Thank you. Since October.
We've
talked about this.
Yep.
And it's such a blessing to me to be able to walk in, right, and sit down and talk to somebody that's influential in our community. And it's easy, right?
Yeah.
Everything's here. And you can rent this space.
You can rent this space. The lights, the cameras, the mics. You just sit down and press record. Plug in your hard drive and press record.
Now, I don't know. We talked about, should we let just about anybody in the door? It costs a little money to do it, which I would be remiss not to thank my sponsors who allow this opportunity to take place. That's E.L. Crawford Construction, NCMC, that's the Savannah campus, Hair by Morgan, thank you, Morgan, Pancakes, Pups, and Suds, Greater Than Financial, Gina's Cafe and Catering, Wolleman Families Deluxe Truck Stop, Scooter's Coffee, thank you for your sponsorship. And of course, we have to thank now the Launchpad.
The Launchpad, yeah.
It's so exciting to be here. You know, it's also exciting to think about what this space has done for entrepreneurs in our area and what the potential is. So talk to me a little bit about this project.
You know, it started maybe a year, I think we moved in like in January. So a year prior to that, there was an open spaces tour. And it's just a handful of entrepreneurs walking around downtown. And, you know, you walk in here and you see all this furniture and space, and it hasn't been used in a while, you know, since everybody sort of went home for COVID. And Brian Jewell at ACE, we constantly run into each other at coffee shops. Yes, we have home offices, but you can't live and work around the clock at home.
I know.
So we went for it. And the first phone call was to Mosaic, and they were really supportive. And then after that, it just kind of snowballed because there really isn't a place like this in town. There is office space.
Yeah.
There's plenty of office space, but a turnkey, very nice, very cool downtown, which is important. Walkable from 2 or 3 different places to grab lunch, have meetings. It's a perfect, and a parking garage. It's really perfect for what we're trying to do here. And so it would be hard to create this from scratch to be this attractive. And then we can do stuff like this. I mean, this room, everybody wants to do podcasts and promote their business and talk about different things, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of equipment. I mean, I think there's $25,000 of lights and cameras and microphones pointed at us in here. And it's
listen, camera 1.
Right, you're
camera
right.
1.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
Camera 2, camera 3. Like, we have it.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't be possible without crowdfunding it, if you will, right?
Yeah.
All the businesses here, all the organizations and the companies that are helping sponsor this. And our goal is to make this sustainable beyond the first 3 years of funding, which Missouri Technology Corporation, fantastic grant to help Missouri entrepreneurs, Mosaic, the Chamber, lots of groups have come together to help make this happen. And now that we know it works, we're full, and there's only a few places left.
I mean, I'm glad to get a conference table.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful.
6 months in, and there's hardly any space left.
Right, and it's so great to get out of your basement and be able to connect with other entrepreneurs. Like, you spur each other on to good deeds, to good thoughts, good ideas. I mean, And just watching your social media, there's been so many fun things
It's a
happening
lot of
here.
fun. Yeah.
So
I can take zero credit for that, but we have some funny people in the office.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
the socials. Well, and just talking about for a minute podcasts in
Yep.
general, obviously very trendy right now. I don't think it's going to go out of style. I love the civic journalism part of it too. But I also can really appreciate the video. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I only listen to podcasts." But what they don't understand is the value of the video, the value of the relationship of
Yeah.
you and I like looking at each other,
Yeah.
understanding one another. Um, you have done video and known the value of video for a really long time. Tell
Yeah.
me about that little bit of your journey and what it's developed into now privately for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've listened to podcasts. I lose focus pretty quickly, and so watching somebody talk, and that's just science. Watching somebody talk helps hold attention a little bit more, and so I think that's important. It's important in training. It's important in just information, and part of one of my businesses that focuses on video training. And we want video because it's the only way now to learn to do anything. I hate to say it, but I don't remember the last time I really read anything substantial. If I want to learn something, I just
Right.
I just go to the internet and find a video on it.
Yeah.
And then it
Want to
comes
fix the
down.
dishwasher?
Oh yeah, manuals in particular. Just
Yeah.
throw them away and YouTube somebody who's already made the training on it.
Right. And Canon themselves are,
Yeah,
great at that. You wanted to get a new camera, you want to try to figure it out, watch the
that's right.
video.
Scan here, watch the video.
So tell us about that business
Yeah,
specifically
yeah.
and how that's making a dent in the industry.
Yeah, so that business really focuses on.
Tell us the name of it.
It's Annovox, Annovox, and it means annotations by voice. And really, what that means is, if you're in a manufacturing setting, you have the handful of people who are the experts. They've been there 30 years, and they're busy, and they don't want to be on a computer making training, but they're really good at verbally expressing what needs to be done and showing you how to do it. And so the name comes from letting one of those experts essentially build a training video using their voice. And so when you think about the technology, and I won't dive into it too deeply, but you film somebody doing a thing in a factory, and then the experts just talking casually. We're not reading SOPs, we're not doing anything, and it's capturing all this. And then you upload that, and then behind the scenes, some AI magic and some human magic all comes together to produce a really nice, short, and precise training video. And then all the edits that need to be made moving forward, instead of having a meeting about it, the expert can just watch the video and push a button like he's on a walkie-talkie and dictate the edits. And that is really the only way you're going to get somebody to participate in building training, because they don't have to leave the floor.
Yeah.
For very often, there's no meetings. In my old business that I started in 2016, we would literally have to chase people around the floor with an iPad, asking them for their feedback. And we did a lot of traveling to do that. And so all of that experience and all of the pushback and all of the unreplied email requests of, I need your feedback on this training to publish it kind of all led to this.
Yeah.
And right after the new year here, back in March of this year, I started experimenting and testing with it. And AI has made it really convenient. There is a human element here, because AI cannot do what this does by itself. Not yet. Maybe not for a while, but it's a very cool piece of software. I use it in flight training. I use it. I have a sticker on a pool pump on how to use that, how to how to properly backwash it without blowing a pipe up, which happened last year. And so it's great to use in really all walks of life, but it's really good for frontline knowledge transfer. That's the whole premise of it.
Well, I was going to ask how many different industries are using this kind of technology.
Yeah, manufacturing's primary. I would say there's a little bit of interest in food service
Mhm.
and senior living, aviation.
I mean, is there an industry that couldn't use
I
it?
don't
Of
think
course
so.
not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Of course not. Yeah, and even when you're recording desktop software applications, there's a plugin that we've built that allows somebody to capture how to do something on a payroll system as a supervisor. And so now we can capture that screen recording as well and turn it into short, sweet, and affordable training. And so there's really nothing that you couldn't do with it. It's just anywhere you have the need to transfer knowledge and you'd like to do it on video because it's a struggle to have somebody read the SOP. And then if you intend on having that video voiced over in a foreign language, that it needs to be in video because some people can't read their language, so subtitles don't really work. And then it's the funny part that I learned almost the hard way is the length of a video in English versus other languages doesn't match. And so when you try to have captions streaming across the screen, it doesn't line up. And
It's like an old movie.
it really
Not an old movie.
doesn't.
It's like a foreign film.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't compute. And so voicing over these videos in native languages, and some of it's AI and some of it's humans, but all of it is quality checked by a native speaker in that language. Video is the only way to pull this off. There's nobody wants to read an SOP and written in technical English.
You know what's crazy just listening to you is probably about 10 years ago, I remember chasing you down with a news camera and trying to get sound bites from you.
Yeah, this was early on.
Like big cameras.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just 10 years ago,
I
right?
remember
Coming
that,
to the school and trying to get you on video.
Yep.
And now to look at like the evolution of Lute Atieh, I really want to talk about the origins of you in St. Joe. Okay, so back then me chasing you down was about education.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
were one of the first online schools in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, so that was my father's business. And again, just like every decent business, you try to solve a problem. And his problem was training people. Back then, it was specifically in IT. It was computer programming remotely as a private school. And so that was a lot of work. We were on the bleeding edge of technology and streaming. This started in 2001 is when he started this. I was in high school still.
And look at where your career has taken you into the edge of now what you're at. You're at the edge of AI, the edge of how this, how training gets done in corporations.
Yeah, I mean, that was the root of it is training. And I've seen training. I've been around it for years. And so now almost everything I do, almost every business I'm involved in, except maybe the distillery is some.
although we could Alvarez,
we could figure out how to incorporate that. But almost every business I'm involved in revolves around training in some capacity, because it is training somebody how to do something cost effectively is difficult.
Yeah.
And and there's not a lot of technology. There's not a lot of brain power spent on that sometimes. And so that's where I like to hang out.
So those are national businesses we've kind of talked about a little bit, but talk about the local, because iFi is like, just not even across the river, right?
Yeah.
And at Rosecrans, and you have a lot of involvement over there. People speak of you as maybe a silent partner sometimes, but you're a little busy over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the key. This is probably the key in any business, but it's in particular with the things I do is to find good people to partner with. And so it is. There are very few things that I do alone. One, it's boring. I've done that before.
Just watch our outtakes.
Yeah, that's right.
It's boring doing it by yourself.
It is very boring doing anything by yourself. And two, most of the things that excite me involve doing something for the community or to benefit the community. Because I don't intend on moving. I don't want to move. So I suppose the option is, if you don't want to move and you want to improve your environment, you can just complain about it, which happens anywhere in the world, or you can try to impact it. And so as long as there's enough people in this community that keep trying, then we should be able to keep making progress. It's when everybody gives up that'll be the end. And that would be what pushes someone like me out of our community.
Well, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen.
Yeah, we just have to keep pressing forward and try to do good things. And
so what's happening at the airport?
Yeah, so the airport, my interest in aviation starts 10, 12 years, 15 years ago when I was in education. I'd have to go to Jeff City every month for this meeting because I was on a committee at the Department of Ed, and it was about online education, and that was the trend. And so I was on a committee that helped evaluate other institutions and their delivery. And are they using appropriate technology? Are they able to track student progress, substantive interaction, all that stuff? And we were really at the bleeding edge of that. And so the things that we were testing were sort of defining state policy at that point. So I'd have to drive 2.5, 3 hours, sometimes longer, depending on weather, do a 2-hour meeting, turn around, drive home. That was terrible. And I started looking into flying, and that was the end. That was the end of it. So it took me a lot of years to get my license because I spent most of my training was done on the way to and from Jeff City. So I found an instructor.
Which is actually kind of interesting because if it was on video, and you could just push buttons while you're driving and listen.
Yeah. Would have been nice.
Now, all these years later,
we're in the early mid 2000s. That was not an option. So aviation, it was functional for me, and it became a hobby and an interest, and of course I still use it. And it was difficult for me to get my license in St. Joe. And so at the first available opportunity, which was July of 24, I had sold out of a business that I had started, and I had both a non-compete and lots of spare time. And so
sounds familiar.
Yeah, decided to let's just do this school. So I found some good partners, other aviators, and convinced them to join me, and we bought a new aircraft and started it, and it's gone great ever since. And so from then, the St. Joe branch is really more of a community thing. I mean, it's formalized training, but I don't really expect that to make money. But the group of investors and my friends, we got into it with the understanding that if we like it and all of our assumptions turn out to be true, we should expand. And so what is today's date? Whatever.
It's going to air,
it's early July.
Yeah.
So about 30 days ago, we closed on a very large flight school and jet charter operation in Kansas City with locations in Iowa and Columbia, Missouri. And so the full circle here is 2 years ago we started in St. Joe, and now we have 4 locations if you include St. Joe, 21 aircrafts, 3 jets, and it all started in St. Joe. And that's what I mean about good people. Without the partners that I've got, there is just no way that would be possible. Mm-hmm. Right? The brain power, the pooling of capital, and yeah, I suppose some people prefer just to own everything themselves, but I mean that is kind of boring. Mm-hmm. I want to have fun in what I do, or it just feels like work. And as much as I work, mm-hmm. if it truly felt like work, I don't think I'd work as much as I do. And so I try to do things that I enjoy. Aviation is my primary work passion. And then after that, it's cool stuff like software and AI and helping people solve problems. So I enjoy aviation. I'm not good at golf. I don't have any other sports or anything. So it is my hobby. And so it's I've always wanted to find a way to make money from my hobby. And now we've gotten into that arena where I'm really going to have to watch how much energy I put into that, because then it starts to look like work, and that's not I already have trouble with balance, if you could imagine.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Right? So
yeah,
it would not be good for me to just spend all my time on it. But I think the point is it's a passion and it's business, and it ties lots of my interests together. And we're just getting started in aviation. I mean, our little group of investors, all out of Northwest Missouri, all pretty quiet people. I'm the loud one of the group.
You can't boast all the things.
Yeah, it's a list in there. There's about 7 guys.
The foundation of a lot of what happens locally are about 7 to 10 people.
Yeah.
I feel like, who really want this place to be better.
That's right.
The opportunity for locals to get involved in something like that, do they contact you on the web and they sign up for lessons? Like, how does this work?
No, I mean, the different businesses that, the distillery and the flight school and all that, and even Nanovox, I have a few local partners. It's all friends.
Yeah.
It's people.
Well, I mean, if people want to learn how to fly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not asking to be one of the 7. No. I mean, I would love to be in the room.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah.
No, it's to To learn to fly,
Yeah.
it's flystj.com.
Okay.
Pretty simple. And if you happen to be in the Kansas City market, it's atdflightsystems.com.
Or anywhere in the
Or
Midwest.
Columbia, Iowa. The goal of this group is to continue acquiring additional flight schools and to continue acquiring and leasing additional jets. So we become sort of the Midwest go-to for both things.
We've
Yeah,
talked about the distillery a couple
yeah, the
times.
distillery, sure.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
That's probably the most public business that
Yeah.
the majority of people in St. Joe would know about. We know there's a distillery.
Yep.
How did that come about, and what's your involvement now?
Yeah, so there's a lot of community partners in the distillery. I think how it started is there was four of us. All four of us. It would be nice if we had a distillery, nearby the brewery.
Yeah.
And we need a nice place for the non-beer drinkers of the world, right? My wife's actually quite allergic to hops, and so visits to the distillery were almost zero, or to the brewery were almost zero. But anyways, and then yes, anybody can do anything just for fun, but if you look at the business data behind the increase in the market share for spirits, you start to think, okay, yes, we do want this locally. We need a cool spot. It would be nice to have a distillery because we haven't had one in St. Joe since Prohibition. This might be smart business sense as well. And
not just fun.
Not just fun. Yeah. I mean, fun is fun, but we would like to also not lose money. And so a lot of research went into that. And so the primary four got together, put a business plan together, found the real estate, and then all of us just started calling our friends. So there's probably 16 investors, I think.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of money. There's a lot of equipment, and there's a lot of real estate, and there's a lot of inventory. You have to hold this booze on the books for a while to let it age. And so, again, it's more fun when you do it with friends and partners. And one of the primary reasons, did we need 16 partners? No, there's 3 or 4 or 5 people in this group that could have just wrote the check. But when you think about making money and using this facility as a way to do business, almost every partner investor owns a business or has a ongoing need to entertain guests that come to town. And we want to showcase St. Joe in a positive light. And so we were pretty strategic on allowing certain people to invest that would use it. So we spend very little dollars on marketing, and we have holiday parties and work meetings, and it's basically a built-in sales team. So that's the reason why there's so many partners, and it's basically everybody owns an equal share. It's kind of it really is a crowd-funded business. And Eddie Durr, who is the managing partner, he's all the energy and the work behind the day-to-day. I mean, the rest of us did a bunch of work up front to help get it going, but all the cool drinks, everything that everybody tastes, the canned products, that's largely Eddie. And I think you asked what my involvement is. I'm open to taste testing, and
the new products are pretty good.
they are good. I'll give input on some things, but Eddie's running the show, and he does a great job. And then once a year, twice a year, we have our meetings, we do our taxes, and we all kind of have to get involved. But the strategic direction is the four of us essentially, but Eddie does the day-to-day.
Talking about St. Joe and just those maybe few movers and shakers, there's some really great things happening with your businesses locally, but there are so many more entrepreneurs in this area who are investing in St. Joe.
Yeah. What
do you see as what's going right in St. Joe? And then we'll talk about maybe what we can improve on.
Yeah, and I'm just speculating, and I have friends that live in Kansas City, and I think one thing that we have going our direction is the cost of living in St. Joe is quite reasonable, and our vicinity to all the things we want, slightly larger entertainment, international airport, it's all pretty close. And so I think you're going to see the return to smaller towns is what I feel like is happening. And that's good for us because we are quite close. Also, the work remote thing helps. The hybrid work remote is great. I'm not a big fan of pure hybrid or pure work at home, but if I hired somebody who lives an hour and a half away and I really wanted to see them at least once or twice a week, that's reasonable, right? Yeah, I'll drive in, hotel room, stay for 2 days, and then go work from home. And so I think that really puts, when you think about all the companies in Kansas City, that puts St. Joe in good proximity uh, for affordable housing, things like that. That's one of our biggest assets, I think. Two, we have what appears to be an enthusiastic group of business owners that continue to reinvest. And as long as we don't get run out of town, that will continue. But it wouldn't take too many poor decisions from leadership to completely drive away the energy, because at some point, enough is enough, right? And so, as a delicate balance, you've seen some towns do it. You've seen some, I mean, in Kansas City, we've got a business in Kansas City. Depending on what type of business you run, you either have very favorable rules or not so favorable rules. And so you can see very quickly how um, city leadership and policy change can squash whole industries just like that. And so as long as we keep a balance of what goes on, I think we're still in good shape.
In recent weeks, we've heard about unfavorable decisions that have been made
Yep.
by leaders with specific entrepreneurs. I'm being very vague for a reason. So, talk to me about the concern there. I mean, the crazy part about it is that um, we have these people who keep coming back to the
Yeah.
table. They don't have to come back. They keep coming back to do better and more. And like you said, eventually it is discouraging when leadership isn't behind you. There's a fine balance there. Is there hope that things could improve in that way? Do voters just have to get out and exercise that, right?
I mean, all right, you're in media.
Yeah.
We understand advertorial, we understand messaging. Some large businesses and often government entities or nonprofits struggle on delivering education and messaging on why things are good. When I was on school district, we hired a person specifically for that because a few of us on the board were business people and we understood the value in spending money to manage messaging before all the rumors and the hoopla and all the nonsense kicks off. And so I'll say until the city spends a little time and money, and I know spending money is not always favorable, but until we spend a little time and money, or these entities, these businesses trying to do things in St. Joe, if we don't spend time and money up front educating on why things are good, it's never going to go well. And that is the problem. And that continues to be the problem in several areas of our community, and not just our community. I mean, those of us that have traveled and lived elsewhere, we know this is not unique. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, St. Joe, St. Joe." Listen, we've been some places where St. Joe is in the top 20% of where you want to live. This exists everywhere. There's just not enough energy spent on the promotion of the positive aspects. Nothing is 100% positive. There's always going to be some negative from something, but if we spent more energy there, we'd probably have a lot less resistance.
One thing that we struggle with, messaging and everything, but one thing we struggle with the education in this community, it seems, is that there's this idea of it needs to be the foundation. It is the foundation of a good, solid community. And I think what people struggle with is my kids aren't getting what they need in the immediate future. I'm not willing. Our kids are growing. I'm not willing to hang out. They need what they need now. Or people are making decisions not to come based on the articles that they read and the videos that they see. What is going wrong and what can we do to improve it?
It's a big question. You know, there I really do think it just goes back to education of the general public, explaining the long-term implications of why we should do or not do things. And that's just not being done at all. It isn't, and it is a problem because it's not today's voter that we're really appealing to. What 10, 20 years from now, if we are still exactly the way we are today, it's no different than 20 years ago and 40 years ago. Nothing nothing changes. Nothing changes.
Mhm.
And so I think it's important to start to try to appeal to the next generation of voters. We're not going to probably make progress with the current voting pool because they are protecting their income. I get it. There's a large retirement community in St. Joe, and nobody wants to just keep shelling money out, even though the mentality ought to be the generation before me funded my education and I should pay it forward, but that doesn't change the hard mechanics of $5 a gallon fuel and all the other things that are increasing. I get it. We need to be focused on the next generation, and so I don't know how to fix that problem. I don't.
On the board for some time,
Yeah, I was on the
now
board.
off the board.
Yeah, that was right before COVID.
You thought you were dealing with problems then. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember you fighting for good on the board then, and now things have just changed.
Well, I mean, we when I got on the board, we were looking down the barrel of the budget issue that we're in now. And it was, I don't know, I can't remember, 3, 5 years. It was probably 5 years out. Well, then COVID happened and, a bunch of federal dollars flowed our way and everybody just kind of forgot about the declining student population and all that. So it went away for a while. But what we managed to accomplish on that version of the board was the early warning signs of trying to do something with school consolidation and all of that. And that was really the win, which is start the conversation because it's a big change. And even then we knew it was going to take years. Like if we get this passed, it'll be great. But if we don't, this is the beginning of a serious discussion that if we don't eventually do it ourselves, the state may come in and just do it for us, and as they have in other communities. And so the conversation's still here. It's going to continue to be here. It's not going away. Um, we have a declining student population. That doesn't necessarily mean we have a declining community population, but I mean, I'm 42. I have one child and one on the way. By the time my parents were 42, they had 4 children or close to 4. I don't remember, but I'm not going to do the math in my head. But
Yeah.
I think my siblings all 1 or less children.
Yeah.
And so it's not a St. Joe thing. It's just there's just less children being had for many reasons. I mean,
Which is crazy to
there's
think about.
financial reasons.
Yeah.
There's some medical reasons. Uh, can't fix that, and it's not going to change at all. Not in our lifetime, probably. So I don't know how to fix it. I just think we have to do a little better at responding to it, and I don't think the media helps us. I think I'm gonna kick on media for a bit. It's a business, and you need clicks, and you need views, and you need readership, and the best way to do that is to highlight on what human nature focuses on, which is negative and friction and drama. And so, as long as we keep focusing on that stuff, that's going to be what pulls up when you search St. Joseph, Missouri. Back to the original comment of if we're not spending real energy and dollars on highlighting and promoting the positives here, we're never going to get past it. And one of the organizations locally that I'm really appreciative of is how much time and energy and money Mosaic spends on community outside of the business of taking care of people. And they're one of the primary reasons that we have cool spaces like this.
And you wouldn't know about it unless there was messaging.
That's right.
You wouldn't even know. No. None of us would.
If we as a community did more of this messaging, positive messaging and highlighting, it would be good. And it's hard to quantify that. It's hard to create an ROI. And so communities, cities, counties, eventually they're going to look at this expense and say, you can't justify that. But that is exactly the wrong direction. It is, it's the wrong way. We have to be doing it.
There's something crazy, going on with this next generation, which freaks me out. 42.8 thousand likes on a TikTok, right? A TikTok from my account that was pretty negative about St. Joe. Mm-hmm. And I struggled and I said, well, this isn't what I wanted. This is, and my kids are like, Mom, it's clicks, it's views, it's look at all your views. Wow, Mom, 42.8. I'm like, it's negative. Yeah. And it was interesting to me how they didn't equate that as a bad thing. And I thought, that is not what I'm doing. And they didn't see it as a bad thing. And I thought, is that something that's going to continue? Is that really where we're at?
I don't know if that's new, right? I mean, you've heard the old saying, all news is good news for a business, right? So whether it's negative or, is that the saying?
You sound like my kid. Yeah.
It's any press is good press.
Right.
That's old.
And then from the business side, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, right.
Which, I struggle with all of it because this is a product that I really want to highlight the good.
Yeah.
But if I'm not having the tough conversations with you, then we're ignoring the elephant in the room. So there's this balance.
There is a balance. I think on the social fun side of things, the clicks and the views and all the negativity, that's just human nature. People are going to gravitate to, sirens and,
if it bleeds, it leads.
You see a police car and an ambulance go by, your first tendency is to, what's going on?
Yeah.
To follow it. Yeah. So it's no different. That we're never going to avoid the human nature of that. But as far as intentional promotion of positive things, I agree with you. I think if there's enough positive to counter the negative, then great. Yeah, click. Let's see 48,000 or whatever it is views. But while you're looking at this one negative thing, by the way, here are 2 additional positive things. 'Cause every community, I don't care where it is, every community has negative. All of them, even our neighbors to the south. I have siblings and friends that live in the Platte City and all those areas, and that's where everybody's. There's some pretty tough realities of living in a community that has grown that fast. That much, and it's not for me. But.
Let's talk about siblings for a minute. You have 4, or you had 4 in like 1993. How many do you have now?
There's 7 of us now.
Okay, I knew you came from a big family.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about growing up. Have you always had this little entrepreneur spirit?
I probably as long as I can remember, as far back as I can remember, my dad was a bit of an entrepreneur. I think it's, of course, we grew up pretty poor. And so you have to be very creative about solving problems. And so that I think maybe certainly contributed to it. The history of me growing up was really interesting because one, I wasn't born in the U.S. I grew up wealthy and then poor, and then maybe middle class, and then whatever today,
doing okay,
whatever version today looks like, of some balance of having enough money to do what I want to do, and also having the time to spend with my family and go places and not being totally tied to a desk. There is a balance there, and it's a constant battle of leaving money on the table and spending time with my family. But I remember being a kid and trying to solve problems with virtually no resources. And I think that is in a small town of 700 or 800 people, whatever it was.
It's followed you.
Yeah. And so I think that is, I think that's kind of probably where some of that came from.
A lot of people say too, that immigrant spirit, which I feel like all of us have as Americans,
sure.
We just remember. And if I could go back, my one thing that I would love to do is go back to my ancestors and like get on the boat with, right? and follow them over
I'm
for
not
the
sure that.
journey. Seriously, if I could just be a bug on the wall, like a fly
Yeah.
on the wall. But a lot of people say that that's where it comes from. It's like ingrained in us. Tell us about that story. I don't know a lot about your journey
Yeah,
over.
you're right. I mean, I have family members that live overseas, and when you talk to them about the realities here of, I mean, today we could decide to start a business in virtually any industry we want with almost zero pushback from anybody. And we may or may not be good at it, but we have the opportunity to do that here. That is not the case in most of the rest of the world. Even fully developed first world countries, there is significant amount of red tape, way more than here. And so um, just me having traveled and lived overseas and to see that, it just a whole different light of how I move through life, and um, just talking to my relatives and my cousins, and it's just
Unbelievable.
weird. And I think seeing that and knowing that and understanding how a lot of other parts of the world work has shaped me over the years and how I approach things. And so it is different. I'm trying to figure out how to pass that along to my kids. I mean, how do you fabricate? How do you create that level of friction and um, experience in a kid who's born in St. Joe, who you know has never.
Yeah.
It's
Wait till
it's
they become,
yeah, it's tough.
23, 17, and 14.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
be
just
tough.
took the trip to Italy and Greece with my 17-year-old. Loved that he could see through his own eyes
Yeah,
what it's like in another country. Here we are in a country where many people, right, they have lived their whole lives. There's not a lot of maybe diversity that he could see among the
right,
Italian people. And
right.
then the tourism,
Yeah,
right, and how much it brings in. And I thought that was a really neat experience for him. But again, I would love to take him to old Lithuania in 1920
yeah.
and see how people had to escape. Um, you
Well, yeah.
know,
I mean, there's still places like that today.
yeah.
I think that's the answer. Is when possible, we need to see how the rest of the world lives.
Mhm.
It's interesting because right, we just celebrated 250 years, and it's funny hearing some people talk about the disadvantages of living in the U.S. and all the problems, and this place is terrible. I'm just like, listen, you need to get out,
Yeah.
and you need to.
We have no idea.
No, there's some tough. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, and I've seen refugee camps. I've seen it all, and that changes you.
We have a family here locally who shared with me the other day that they relocated. They were a little bit scared about being deported.
Hmm.
Weren't no threat of it at the
Sure.
time, but needed to
Yeah.
needed to leave, needed to go back. And when they got there, there's no ability for them to work.
Right.
They need permission
That's right.
to work.
That's right. Yeah.
They are currently living in a home, debilitated home, and unable to work. And I'm like, how is that even possible? The government is not allowing them to work. We have no concept
Yeah.
of what it's like. And then here, like, I love that your story, right? You have the joy of working. And I was going to talk to you earlier about how, that saying, if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
I mean, it's good and it's bad, right? So yes, there are some days when I actually do things. I'm like, this is terrible. This part of whatever the job
Not
is,
today.
not today, but there are days when I will work 12 hours and feel as energetic as I did in the morning. And there are days that I'm like, I don't like this part of the job. But the problem with all of that is the balance at home. And that is a real struggle because you can't shut it off. And you need to shut it off.
I know. Let's talk about burnout.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Entrepreneurs really struggle. If you're working for a company, you struggle.
Yeah.
But that burnout idea of how do you stay balanced? How do you make it so without your spouse yelling at you like, really?
Yeah,
Are
I
you
mean,
paying attention?
that's probably the toughest, I think, for me and then some of my friends that are entrepreneurs. It's you really I know I really depend on my spouse to sometimes, hey
Mhm.
man, snap out of it. You've been on a 25-day binge of whatever this is.
Yeah.
And
And we love it.
yeah,
That's the other thing.
I don't
I don't hate it.
no, I don't. There are days where I there's been a couple of weekends, on a Saturday or Sunday that I just do not move. You
Yeah.
just wake up and you are the living dead. And that's usually following some part of whatever I do that I don't like doing. But 90% of the time, and again, having grown up in a different country and seeing the other side, and having growing up poor in this country, I don't want to go back. And I can certainly slow down at this point, but it's too late. It's already hardwired in, and
Are you like me that when you go to the grocery store, you still buy 2 gallons of milk instead of one?
yeah,
What is
I don't
that?
know.
Is it because
It,
there wasn't enough?
maybe, but that I grew up with, four of us, and three of us are milk drinkers. Like
Yeah.
tall. I'm the shortest one of the three of us, and I'm the oldest. I mean, milk didn't last long in our household. My mom will
No.
tell the story. It's funny.
Well, and milk, I
It's
mean,
a couple gallons a week.
right, in a
Yeah,
luxury
yeah.
item
Now,
sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's certainly pros and cons to being this way.
Well, listen, we appreciate you. Um, I'm not trying to like sugarcoat St. Joe by
Yeah,
any means, but I
it's
will
pretty good though.
say
It's pretty good.
it's pretty
It's pretty
good. And
good.
the other thing is if we didn't have you here, a lot of things wouldn't be here. And it's not just about being one person, but one person can make such a difference. And then you stick together those 7 guys, stick together
That's the key.
16
That's
of
the key.
you. Um, and I just hope that this next generation is inspired by what we're both doing, what some of us really, really desire to do to make
Yeah.
a difference and to make it better.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think, without grouping people together, there's just a bunch of good ideas. Like even the launch pad, right?
And
Without
how does it come to
right,
fruition?
without, I just feel like I'm a cheerleader. Without me getting Brian hyped up, and then he getting the next person hyped up, and then he getting the next person hyped up, and then without all that, it's just an idea. Um, and yeah, sure, I suppose one person could have done it, but would it have this impact? It would just be a guy running a business or a guy doing this. It's better when there's multiple people involved that can get excited about it. And I think that's the key to the sustainability of it, is having multiple people involved. It's harder for that to go away and die off.
Well, let's just talk about good messaging, getting the good word
Yeah.
out, making it happen. Thank you for this space. Thank you for allowing me to be part of it. It's what I'm doing product wise isn't possible truly without a whole heck of a lot of work.
Yeah.
Without having a space like this where we can walk in the
Yep.
door
Yep.
and get out the good news. So thank you.
Of course, this is what this is for. This is just a cool room. First
It's
of all,
awesome. You got to come see
it's a
it.
great room. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody. You don't need to know much about recording podcasts to use this room, which is thanks to Steve Jewell, who has been the wizard on hooking all this up and these
Yeah.
cameras. You can't see it watching this, but there are three cameras, 3 lights,
Makes us look pretty good.
probably a half a mile of wiring,
Yeah.
some other components I don't recognize.
And
So
even though, this talking to each other, which we're so grateful for, and the human connection, that this is not only necessary, but it's quite easy.
it is, yeah,
That stuff is not easy.
right.
And so grateful for the Jewel family, obviously. But
Yeah.
um
Brian, very few other people I'll meet in this community that I really feel like would understand and have the same energy behind trying new things. That's the thing. There's entrepreneurs, and then there's entrepreneurs who will carve off some of their energy and money that could completely be wasted. And that is the experimentation piece that needs to stay alive, I think, in entrepreneurs. Otherwise, it's just a business. Yeah, it's not that difficult to start and grow a business, but to start and try things that could fail if they don't get traction, that's exciting. And that is where the greatest wins, I think, can happen. And that's why when we start things that are riskier, a flight school, a distillery, it's easier to do that with partners. So if it fails, or if it takes longer to catch traction, then it's easier to do that with partners. I think failure is literally usually a result of giving up too soon.
Mm.
I think most businesses and most ideas are viable. It's just maybe timing. And so if you go at this with the expectation of a much longer timeline than you initially give yourself as a startup, then I think you'll be fine.
Is the podcast studio done yet? Is it done yet?
Yeah,
Is it done yet?
it is
So
officially
exciting.
done. Officially done.
Tell us about, I'm going to rapid fire you really
Sure.
quick. Biggest failure. 1, 2 words.
Oh gosh.
Not personally.
Yeah, professionally. Yeah, there's been a business or two where I had the wrong partner.
Oh.
And it just a mismatch.
Not bad people.
Yeah, it's the wrong partner. Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Lots of coffee.
He's got some right here.
Yeah.
Morning or night?
Used to be the night. Now I find myself getting up at 5, and I'm way more productive in the first few hours of the day than I am in the evening now.
Favorite business book? I know you don't like to read, right?
There are ones that I've read, and then most of which I've consumed. I think it's called 0 to 1 was one of my favorites. Good to Great's a good one. Everybody should read that's in business. I think it's called 0 to 1, and then there's another one called Control Alt Delete, actually, which is a bit on the tech side. That's probably 5 years old. Those are 3 that I remember, and they were interesting. I took something away from all of them at some point.
I love that. So most used app?
ChatGPT today.
Not Claude.
No, I
because
just
I'm using both.
Well, my training company, we built the first version on GPT with an API, and so I'm just using that. I use them all at some point, but that's the one I most like. And
we have so much to talk about on that topic. Like, who isn't building an app?
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible what the next 3, 5, 10 years is going to look like because of AI.
It is. In fact, I never thought I'd be in the software development business. My dad was a traditional computer programmer. I tried, and I did not do well in those classes.
But it's different.
It's different now, and in fact, there's a part of me that is essentially starting up a software development company by accident with a couple guys. There's a CRM issue we're working on with another local business owner who's a member of Launchpad, and we figured that out here. And so maybe one of these episodes we'll talk about that, building custom software for different businesses that have nothing to do with training or flying or booze or the other stuff that I'm involved in, but just helping other business owners build customized software solutions using AI, because it's so easy to do now.
It's crazy. Favorite podcast?
I mean, there's a couple guys. I like the guys on My First Million. Those guys are funny. And one of them's from Springfield, Missouri. So that's a good one. I also like Gary Vee. I listen to some of his stuff.
And the 3994.
Yeah, of course.
Love
I've seen all those.
It's getting better.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
We're just trying. We're trying here. One local business everyone should visit. Besides the distillery.
Besides the stuff that I'm
not letting you say that.
No, let me think about this. Let's come back to this one.
Okay. All right. You think about it. Hidden gem. That's probably the same kind of question.
Yeah.
One word that describes St. Joe.
I tell people that live in other parts of the country, the world, that it's just easy here. It's easy. The easy button. I think that's
But we can do hard things.
Yeah, but it's just things are, everything from traffic to cost of living. I know it's tough to find a house in St. Joe sometimes, and I know there's people trying to solve that problem, but things are easier here. I don't mind it.
One word that describes your leadership style.
Oh man, working with good people brings me energy, and so I try to put relationships as the core to my leadership. And that can be a struggle sometimes because there are people on the other end that look at a business as an opportunity as an employee. What can the business do for me instead of what can I do for the business? And then the business will then take care of me. And not all business owners do that. So I understand where that comes from, but I expect people to give me a chance to show them what the business can do for them, but you've got to give effort. This is a business after all. Yes, we're friends, and yes, we work together, and yes, it's all relationship based, but the whole environment is designed to turn a profit. And if we can do that and be friends, that's the way I prefer it to.
No bad business partners.
Right.
Okay, hidden gem. Talk to me of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Favorite coffee spot right now?
I'm a Hazel's guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Hazel's guy. So I spend quite a bit of time in there. I do like Scooters because of their locations. They're very conveniently located. As I'm out the door, I think so. There's a gym that a lot of people don't know about. Let's talk about the airport cafe.
Yes.
And
which I've never been to.
See, it is one, the views are good because you get the airport.
Yeah.
Two, the food is phenomenal. So I think the airport cafe is a hidden gem, and it's just kind of neat. You get to go out, you see the C-130s, you see, spray planes and flight school planes and planes.
Is something changing over there as far as people coming in and getting to experience the airport?
I think there's just the visibility.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and air shows help with that, true. But beyond the air shows, the airport manager, Julius Rice, and I are on this committee basically, and our whole goal is more events in between the big air shows that we have. And so we had the National Women's Air Race stopped in St. Joe, which is awesome because Atchison's runway is under construction, which is where they typically like to go because of Amelia Earhart. But what a cool event. Very, very cool to see, 40 something planes scurrying across the country to win a race. The national stole competition. So just little things like that we're getting more kids and more people and more businesses involved. It's very cool because there's still a significant portion of the population in St. Joe that has no idea that is anything more than an Air Force runway.
Right. And there's a few blocks in St. Joe that are really cool right now.
Yes.
But if we could just keep moving that direction, the sky's the limit. That's a great pun.
Aviation
right there.
pun.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, last question for you today. If I sat down with you 5 years from now, what would have happened in St. Joseph that would make you say, we got that right?
5 years. 5 years used to feel like a lot of time, and it is not as much time. I would say in 5 years, if we can look back and have gotten over the big debate about the 2 versus 3 high school thing, if we could just move forward to whatever St. Joe's next 100 years becomes, and I think that's what I want everybody to remember. Whether you're for 2 or 3, I don't personally care, but is that a 100-year topic? Probably not. It's not a 100-year topic. It's a 5, 10, 15-year topic, tops.
5 years from now, we're looking at more AP classes.
Yeah.
We're looking at graduates who,
we're looking at maybe more modern facilities that, here's the thing, everybody likes shiny things. Everybody likes new. And whether we agree with that or not, the way things look, even if it's subconscious, plays into our decisions of doing a thing or going to a place, right? So whether you're a 2 or 3 school or you keep the heritage alive, and listen, I'm a very nostalgic guy, right? That's one of the reasons I still live here. At some point, we still make decisions based on optics, and we just don't present well to outsiders when it comes to our education system.
And we want to attract good teachers.
We do. And I remember being on school board, and it floored me to realize that I think it was the third floor of Bodie that we had a heating and cooling issue up there, and we didn't have the electricity, the infrastructure in the building to support split units or window units. I mean, it blew my mind that was part of our raise, part of our fundraising. I think was it a bond? Feels like 20 years ago.
I know.
But it was just blew my mind that in 2024, 23, whenever I was on the school board.
Before COVID.
Before COVID, yeah, pre-COVID. That we were raising money for electrical to support HVAC. And then I got to hear, well, it didn't have AC when I was a kid. Yeah, but today, would you go stand in a classroom in front of 30 teenage kids with a single vent? Would you today? I know you did it when you were a kid and you went to school there, and those teachers did it too, but today, would you do it? And most of them, it was the light bulb moment. No, I've been spoiled. Like, essentially, everything I get into is air conditioned. And it was funny, if you've watched the reels on World Cup, one of the biggest things they talk about is there's air conditioning everywhere. And it's a big deal. If even my clients, some of my clients, the factory floor now, they brag about the ambient temperature being in the 70s. Like, oh no, we have air chillers here and these big fans. Don't know if I can say that word, the big fans on your podcast, but bringing the ambient temperature of the factory floor down is a retention strategy now. So yes, I hear people say things were a lot worse when I was a kid. Things were worse when I was a kid in the 90s. I remember I went most of my first through sixth grade education was in a double wide trailer in Stewartsville, Missouri. Yeah. So like, I mean, it wasn't the 80s or 70s or 60s, but it was pretty tough. Today's standards are way different. And even us as adults, voters, I'm not sure we could be convinced to take a low-paying job in a room on the third floor of a building that's, how old is the Bodie? With very poor heating and cooling in a room full of teenagers that are still figuring out what personal hygiene is. Like, no.
And their attitudes alone.
Pass.
I mean, come on.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
So I hear both sides of the voting pool. In 5 years, I hope we have just gotten to the point of, you know what, we may not like it, but it's not 100-year issue. This isn't something anybody's going to care about in 100 years at all. It's not. So, we shouldn't spend too much energy on it. Let's just move forward.
5 years.
5 years. We made a decision. I know there's been some decisions, but I mean, like, really, we are looking at some consolidated, nice, new high schools, middle schools, elementary, it'll all trickle. But everybody, back to optics. Parents are looking at middle school, high school. We all remember our high school. More than we remember middle school and elementary. Yeah. But I know it was in a double wide trailer. And I think even Stewartsville, Missouri, we'll call it to my hometown, I think managed to raise 7 figures to finally rebuild that temporary wing that educated most of us that went through that school. You talk about a nostalgic town. If they can bring themselves to update their facilities, we should be able to do that in St. Joe.
It took a few bond issues in Savannah.
Yeah,
but we got it done.
We will, and
right?
It's the same. Change is hard.
It's hard
and
in a big city.
And I think people just get frustrated. Just assume it's going to be difficult and it won't be frustrating. It's this kind of, you go back to my leadership style. Things are hard. Assume they're going to be hard. And then when they're easier, you get a little bit of a break. Just do the work and you won't be disappointed when we just assume it's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tries. If this is a big, big deal, and it is to a lot of people, if this is a 50-year deal, it's going to take multiple tries to shift. And that's okay, because again, we're just a short blip on the radar of time here. I mean, this town's been around a long time. And I don't know what went on in the early years of St. Joe, and I don't care. And 100 years from now, they're not going to care either that we went through this big transition of however many schools, no one's going to care.
We got this.
Yeah, they're not going to care.
Lute, thank you so much for sharing your story with
Yeah,
us today. We really appreciate it. And grateful for the space. I hope we continue to have good conversations here.
I think we will.
And thank you for watching the 3994. Until next time.